Hey everybody, grab your Bible and a pencil and a journal and maybe even a cup of coffee and join in on our conversation. But first, I would love for you to write this down. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. Let no one look down on your youthfulness, but rather in speech, conduct, love, faith, and purity. Show yourself an example of those who believe.
Hey everyone, welcome to Write This Down with Dot Bowen. My name is Cara. I am Dot's daughter, and every week we sit down together and we have a conversation about God, about scripture, about something we may be learning. And I believe this is the last week where we're diving into your questions. Now, that doesn't mean don't ever send a question. We would always love to get questions from you guys, so please still do that. But we are tackling dating. How do we date in a Christ-like way? So buckle up and join us for this conversation.
Hey, Cara. Oh my goodness.
I'm not excited about this one.
You're not excited. I mean, how many years has this been that I've had to think about this? But actually...
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, I haven't dated in a long time.
Well, we haven't gotten to the question yet.
But I do know
alert.
the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and get the question before everybody's
let's
like,
just get this
what
out
are
of the
they
way.
talking about?
I know. I feel like this is targeted. What does Christ-like dating look like?
Yeah.
Which Jesus didn't date.
No, not that I know of.
So
yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure
because you can
needed.
be 16 dating, you can be 40 dating, you can,
all in between,
all in between. And I think, dating is hard. And it's been such a long time since I've dated.
I was about to say, it's hard. Well, it's probably hard for you because you have to hear me talk about it.
Well, and all my grandkids and that. And it is hard. It is hard to know how to be in a dating relationship and be Christ-like.
Yeah.
And it is hard because all the things that are really facing people that are single, it's just really hard. I've thought about it so many times of if I was dating now in this culture with social media and with so much that, all the stuff that's coming at young people and singles, it would be very difficult. Of course, when I was dating,
Trust me.
I wasn't even a believer, and I just don't even know. I don't know how I could have handled this.
Yeah.
But it is important because there are a lot of people that are date.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that date later in life, and it's really hard. How can you be pure? How can you do it in a godly way?
Yeah, I think too, it's also, from my perspective, I'm older dating, and I do feel like I've learned a lot because I think approaching dating later in life, so I can't, if anyone's like younger and listening, I think there's some things that could apply, but my perspective is largely from being older and dating, and it is wildly different than when I dated when I was, my teenage years or even like in my 20s, because the dating pool is different. Like people that I'm dating, we've been through some things.
Yeah.
there's,
life.
Yeah, life. And as my sister-in-law would say it, is your stuff is known. Like, when you get married at 21, you don't know your own self in a way of, you don't know your tendencies or your,
sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. And then maybe some 21-year-olds do know that, but I just mean, there's an element where your sins aren't known, for lack of a better word. There's a
lot of baggage that you bring into it. Yeah.
And so it's like,
a lot of
red flags when you're 21 may not be a red flag when you're 35 or 45 or, whatever. Because life is just different. So, if I were to date someone at 21 who had 3 kids, who was 21, I'd be like, why do you have 3 kids at 21?
When did you start?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so that's like a silly example, but I do think that there's a lot that I have learned, but because I think there's still principles, because even though you haven't dated, I feel like you've helped me navigate how to do it. And I mean, I've asked, you and other people in my life, okay, what, is this a red flag? Or, where, or when does this become a red flag? Or, if it's maybe more of a yellow flag of okay, I'm going to put that in my back pocket. It may not be something that is needs to be addressed or something that's off the table.
I find it funny that the question, I don't find this funny that the question is, what does Christ-like dating look like? And ironically, I think it's funny because in the fact that we're not dating Christ. And I think today, the fact that a lot of people your age, strong Christians, are waiting on the man to be like Christ. They're like waiting on Jesus, perfect man.
I see two sides of the spectrum. I see one side of the spectrum where where it's very, I hate to say it, but very judgy. So you're judging that part and you're like expecting them to be
perfect. Yeah, you're not, but you expect them to be
exactly.
perfect.
And I'm like, especially with what people have been through, like a lot of, like if you've been through divorce or even any kind of trauma of life, that's nothing to do
just
with,
human.
That's what I'm saying. Like it could just be, you've dealt with losses or just life.
Yeah.
So there's one element of that where it's like swung to that side of the spectrum where it's like you're judging every little thing that they're doing. And one wrong move, or you have the other side of the spectrum where it's a little too forgiving.
And make excuses for everything.
Yeah, making excuses for everything. And it's like, so I think we gotta, and I have friends on both sides of the spectrums. And I think that's where having, like, you have helped me kind of be in the middle of that, of like, okay, let's look at things, let's see how, things are handled, or but also like there's grace, but also we don't give excuses, but also, like there's,
and I think that
so
going
many
back
nuances to
the Christ-like way, I think dating should glorify God.
Yeah.
I think how you act, and how you, pursue dating should be in a Christ-like attitude.
Yeah. And I think that's why I bring it up, because Christ he wouldn't ask us to judge, like that wouldn't be Christ-like to walk around judging every single thing that people do, like we're not.
And I think too, he doesn't excuse sin either.
Well, I was gonna say that too. Like, so I think like, that's where I'm like, okay, how is Jesus going to approach this? And again, we talked about, relationships a few weeks ago. And I think a lot of those same principles where it's like, like for me, like dating, I don't need the person I'm dating right now to lead me spiritually.
Right. You shouldn't.
Yeah. So like, I'm not necessarily looking for that. Whereas I think some friends that I have that are doing, I'm like, well, he doesn't need to lead you spiritually right now. So I don't feel like but also kind of being like,
is he a spiritual leader?
Is he? Yeah. Like
he may not need to, but where is he in his walk with God?
Yeah. Like, is that, or she, I guess too, depending if you're a man or woman listening, but yeah, where is their heart?
Towards the Lord, I think that, with this verse, and I know you're kind of laughing at the verse a little bit because it says, don't let anyone look down on your youthfulness. That's not what I expected.
And I'm like, well, I would kind of like to be looked down on my youthfulness because that would mean I'm youthful and I don't feel like it. But
I think when you're dating, I think, watch your speech, your conduct, watch your love and your faith and purity. I think that a lot of those things is something that you can look at, their speech. You have to be careful. Sometimes when you're dating, you say things or you allow other people to say things and that make you feel a certain way. I think you have to watch how someone speaks to you or how someone's conducting themselves and how it makes you feel.
Well, and I don't know where I saw this, but I saw something talking about there's a difference in like a moment versus a habit. So I speak out of turn sometimes. Like we all can have a moment. But is this something that you're seeing that's a pattern?
Yeah.
Is this how they always are reacting? Or is this how they are always responding to things? Or did maybe having a bad day because of, you know what I'm saying? Like there's...
and I say, spoken words cannot be unspoken. And so when you're thinking about dating and Christ-like, be careful what you're saying. Make sure you're not leading someone where you don't want to go. I think a lot of times in dating, there's words that have said that makes you feel like they're at a different level than you are. You got to be careful, make sure you don't lead somebody on that, like I'm leading them to make them, through my words, that we're somewhere we're not. Or I'm implying that I want to go there, or I want to get married, and I'm not really wanting to get married. So you have to be very careful. Yeah. A lot of people are very flattery with their words and very quick to say, I love you, and, things like that. And I think, with Paul, when he's talking to Timothy, he's like, he wasn't talking to Timothy about dating, but I feel like these habits these things are really good in a dating relationship. To conduct yourself. If you want to be like Christ, then be careful with your speech.
Yeah.
Be careful with what you say. Be careful with what you do and how you treat someone, your conduct. Not only should you expect someone to treat you godly, you should in return respect them as humans.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a dating relationship. It can just be the fact that you're human.
Yeah. And
you need to conduct them in a respectful way. So I think Paul is about to die. This is his last letter to Timothy, 1st and 2nd Timothy. And Paul is telling Timothy, I'm going to show you, how to act. And obviously Timothy was very young. And he's like, don't let that be a problem. It's not about your age. And I think that's why I picked this, because whether you're 16, 36, 46, whatever, and unfortunately 66 and 76.
Yeah.
But I think these principles are still true. They're true if you're dating or not dating. But if you want to put it in a context of a dating relationship, I feel like you have to be very careful with what you say, making sure that you mean what you say and that you're not leading them on. And sometimes it's not what you say, it's what they hear.
Yeah.
And sometimes somebody, or you may be saying something that's not what you're saying. You're not saying, I want to marry you.
Yeah.
But you may be, but they may be looking at that and you're thinking, no, I just want to get to know you. I want to have a deeper conversation with you, but doesn't mean I want to talk about marriage either.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another thing that a lot of times in the Christian world is you don't need to know if it's your future spouse on the first date.
No.
So I think, I'm going to speak for myself, fear can come in where it's, I want to figure it out. Like, okay, is this the person? And God, but I need to trust that God will reveal. Like he will let me know when I need to know, because I want what God wants. So I don't need to go try to figure it out or go try to find the answer. I just need to keep my eyes on the answer, which is the Lord.
Right.
And he will reveal it. And I think it's like, so many times I feel like the Lord's like, just today, like, do you enjoy this person today? Like, is this good today? Is this like, is this bringing good fruit for you today? it's like, yeah, like I do enjoy this person today.
And does this person encourage you? Spiritually, but just encourage you as a person.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like keeping it, like not getting so caught up in like, I've got to figure this out. Like I've got to know, by this time, or I need to, like that. Like just, I think that's Christ-like dating is just resting and trusting that the Lord will reveal what you need to know. What you need to know when you need to know it. And
there's always a way out until you say, I do. So don't feel like, I'm engaged.
Yeah.
And I can't, say no. I can't, I have to keep going through. If you feel like God is saying this isn't the one for you, you can always, it can always
Well, that's what I've seen a couple, they're like friends of a friend. So not anyone super close to me, but from what my friends are telling me of, they are, probably 30 and they're engaged, but they're seeing things and they're telling me of like, I don't think that this, like, it's some pretty toxic, pretty bad things. Like almost like everyone being like, I don't think this is the right person, but they're moving forward with it because they're not trusting. They feel like this is their only shot. And, I got to go through with it. And it's like,
and one thing you've said to me so many times, I'd rather be single the rest of my life than deal with
to be with someone that the Lord that doesn't want me to be with. Yeah. Like there's,
and you have to have that mentality.
Yeah.
I think too, and there is this different levels of this. Like when you're 38, you're not looking for a prom date.
Yeah.
A person that's 16 is looking for a prom date doesn't need to know if that's the one you need to marry.
Yeah.
You can learn by a lot of just dating.
Yeah.
You can learn what you don't want by dating.
Right.
But you don't know it until you get into it.
Yeah.
But always be very careful when you're with someone, because when you're with someone for a long period of time and they are involved, you've invited them into your life in a dating relationship, it can cause some wounds. You do have to be very careful.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you don't walk around with wounds.
Yeah.
You walk around and choose to date through your scars and what you've learned and,
I think,
operate from that.
Yeah, I think too, just remembering like you're just getting to know this person and letting it flow out of that. Like I know, sometimes we can treat dating like a job interview, and it's like just you're not trying to figure out if you want to hire this person for life. Yeah. It's just get to know them, and by getting to know them, things will get brought up and revealed of maybe this isn't. But
think about that, like somebody that's 18 or 19. But I know of a girl that went on a date, and the guy that she was on a date with had just lost his wife, and she said, I felt like I was on a job interview, that he was interviewing me for the wife, and it was their first date. Yeah. And it was, more, like that. And of course, coming from his perspective, that may be something he's that interested in. But I do think, and she never went out with him again. And I do believe that kind of robbed both of them. Yeah. The opportunity just like getting to know someone. To get to know someone and know that. And I think, going back into this, write this down, 1 Timothy 4, like really look at these things, that watch your speech, watch your conduct, and watch who you fall in love with. Sometimes.
I think that's getting to know them.
It's like, hard. Yeah. Yeah. I think if you're not watching your speech and your conduct, you may think you're in love and you're not. Yeah. And then, your faith and purity, I think those are things like, are they encouraging me in my faith? And are they pushing me toward impurity, to do things that I know that I shouldn't do? Those are kind of things, those are warning signs that you need to really, stay. I think Christlike dating to me would be that I am giving God the last word. When he says go, I go. When he says stop, I stop. I think Christlike dating, in my opinion, would be, I'm going to pursue this until God tells me no. Yeah. Unless...
And God will make it clear.
He'll make it clear, unless you're not willing to hear it. Yeah. So as long as you keep your hands open, I think Christlike dating would be that I don't look at dating as a defining who I am. I think we've talked so much, you being single and praying for the man that you will marry. I think that it's very hard sometimes not to be labeled as I'm the single girl looking, or, I'm dying to get married. We label a lot of people based on the way they date and who they date.
Yeah. I mean, even if I was married, I wouldn't want to be just known as I'm the woman that's married. Yeah. It's like that no matter what side of the spectrum
I'm on. That's correct. And I think as long as you can not allow whatever situation you're in your dating situation, to define you. Yeah. If you're not dating and no one's asked you out, that doesn't define you to be this wonderful, horrible person. If you've been asked out every other weekend, that doesn't mean you're great either. It means that you're a child of God, and you are asking God, should we unite? And I think, Cara, years ago, I heard you say this about a couple, and I've always prayed this for you. And that is that you said, I love this couple because together they're great for the kingdom. And I pray that, God, if you want Cara to marry, that together, because they're together, they're greter for your kingdom.
Yeah, because I think that, for me, what I would say is what Christlike, as someone who is actually dating, is remembering it's not about me. This is not like, I'm trying to find someone to help my loneliness. You can be married to be lonely, which you have told me that. So it's more of like, okay, it's who does God want me to be with? Because it's not just to fulfill something earthly. There's a bigger picture. Marriage is a covenant to come together so that you're better together for the kingdom. And I think remembering that, it almost kind of it helps relieve the pressure of the identity aspect of it, because it's like, this is up to God. Yeah. This has nothing to do with me. If I'm not married, that is no reflection of me or my story, or I've done it wrong or I've done it right. Like, just because you're married doesn't mean that you did everything right. If you're not married, doesn't mean that you did everything wrong.
And a lot of people think they're single because of their past.
Well, that's what I was saying.
And it's like if that keeps people from being married, there would be two people married. Well, Adam and Eve wouldn't be married.
Right. So I think remembering that, and I think that also helps. Like, to me, Christlike dating is like keeping hope. It's like holding on to hope, and that helps like the desperation, but it also helps because I land on the side of, I fear of choosing wrong versus there's not going to be anyone that, you know what I mean? So I need to like settle, you know, so I kind of swing to the other side. But I think remembering that it's not about me. Marriage and dating is not about, like, it's keeping your eyes on the Lord. And that as you navigate dating, as you navigate like getting to know someone through that experience. And I think that it helps me have hope, because it takes the pressure off me to have to feel like, oh, I got to go find someone, or I have to go. It's like, no, this is the Lord's story. And for whatever
I love
reason,
the fact that what you said, because I'm going to repeat that and have somebody write it down. And that is, dating isn't about fulfilling my needs. Yeah. This is about looking at and being able to meet someone else's need, or you're not supposed to meet their, you know, but fulfill, like, together y'all are better for the kingdom. Yeah. And I think if you apply that and begin your dating relationship like that, that will be how your marriage will be. Yeah. I think so many people think, I'm dating them, that's not the person I would, you know, but, you know, they're going to change once we get married. Well, and you know what they do, but they're worse. They're worse than the one that, you know.
Well, I've always heard when you're dating, it highlights, like, whatever's great while you're dating just gets better when you're married. Whatever's not great when you're, you know, like, whatever issues, it gets worse, quote unquote, worse when you get married. Yeah.
And I think that you know, makes a difference in, like, again, how you date and how you view women, how you view men are going to go into this dating, marriage, you know, relationship. But I also think that if you leave the choice up to Him, I think that God always gives the best to those who leave the choice up to Him. I know. And I think
my entire life.
I know you did. I've told
I wish He would just choose already.
Yeah, exactly. But I do believe that. I think that, and it's not like, God, I'm not going to choose. You do it. You know, it's not like you're being
like passive
or anything. But you're just saying, God, this is who I'm thinking. Is this, you know? Yeah. And I'm open. I'm willing to walk away. As long as you're always willing to walk away, I think that you'll be fine. I think it'll be.
Or if you're willing to stay, because sometimes,
and you're willing to stay.
I land on the side where I'm looking for a reason to walk away. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but because I don't want to. You don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to make a mistake, and so I've seen a lot of people make mistakes, and so I have to. And that's where the Lord's like, no, stay. Like, you're not.
But I think that the reason that but a lot of people make
ultimately
a mistake,
it's surrender.
I think a lot of people, they're not giving God the choice. Yeah. They're telling God who they want, and they're asking God to bless it. And I think that there's a difference in asking God who He wants, and be blessed because you've allowed Him to, you know, to do that. And I think that as you know, think about dating and not dating, you know, Christlike dating, Christlike not dating, all of that is that just looking back and going, you know, if I'm single, if I'm married, I'm still a child of God, and I can bring value to anybody's life. And I just want to say this. I know we get in this, but I just thought this was you helped me so much in this because, you know, I prayed so much ever since I was, you know, you were in my womb, and I prayed for your husband, and I'm still praying for him. But one of the things, you've helped me to see the lies that a lot of people believe that are single. You know, I just never really knew the struggles and the things that they had. And I just want to share this because I think this is very important. If somebody is in a small group and they can't have a child, they're dealing with infertility. They're married and they can't have a child. Everybody grabs around them. Everybody prays for God to give this couple a child. And they know that God is the only one that can allow this to happen. But when it's a single person and they're in a small group and they say, you know, I'm single, I want to get married, the first thing out of the small group's lady's mouth or whoever's talking is, are you too picky?
Yeah, what are you doing wrong?
What are you doing wrong?
Oh, man,
but if both things is dependent upon God, then why is it different?
It's not.
And it's not.
Right.
And I think the way to look at Christ-like dating, to whether or not I'm a mom of someone I'm praying that is going to date, or whether you're in that situation, you got to realize, God, this is your responsibility to bring the person. I don't have to be perfect, and I don't have to have a perfect past, Nor if I have a horrible past, does it mean you're not going to do it.
It's like if you're trusting the Lord to provide any other desire, why is that one different?
Why is it different?
Why is that one all of a sudden all my fault, quote unquote, my fault?
Right. And I think Christ-like dating is exactly that. God, you bring the man, you bring the woman that you would have for me.
I'll do whatever I know to do, but sometimes that is not.
It's all in your hands.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't mean you have to be out. Like, I don't feel like the Lord's like, you got to be going to all these places. I feel like he's like, just rest. Just live your life.
Mm-hmm. He's capable.
Yeah, I think he's
capable of giving you the mandate that I prayed for you, that I know is soon to come. I hope. We don't know. Trust in God. Yep.